My name is Marty Ludas, and I'm a fingerprint examiner and developer of the Fingerprint Paradigm. In this video, I'm going to preview the Examiner Instructional Supplement. This document includes all the material that you will be learning in the computer training component of the Paradigm. I've included all of the screen views from the Paradigm program with text information in a slide format. At any time during a Paradigm exercise, you can page through this supplement and find information that can help you. The guy in the hat is Zachary Schwartz. He wrote the programs. The fingerprint, that's mine. And you should recognize it as it was included many times in the practical exercises you've already done. The reason I made this video was I know many of you will probably not use the Examiner Instructional Supplement that I made for you. But maybe you will see something here that would make you actually open the file like I wished you would. This is the table of contents. I dare not read it. It describes the 7 sessions of the Paradigm and lists all of the assignments that you will complete. Pay attention now. You will ultimately complete 102 exercises, and this will result in the Paradigm generating 102 charts. Additionally, you will also complete 120 fingerprint pair comparisons on the screen, where you will make an identification or exclusion decision. All of these comparisons will be charted and saved to file, corrected, and you will know exactly what score you received. You've already completed the practical exercise session of Paradigm Walt classification training, and I'm confident you are proficient at recognizing the basic pattern types, at least on paper. You have also completed the exemplar registration assignments, which you required to examine and compare magnified fragments of friction-ridged skin, most of which were mine. You will begin to understand why you were challenged by the exercises as the program goes from paper to the computer screen. This is the Fingerprint Paradigm main menu. It displays the 7 sessions you will complete. Each session has a menu with a thumbnail of what you will do. The first session will be the Walt training, which is a review of the Walt practical exercises. You can access any of these sessions with a left click of the title. Just give the program a few moments and it will ramp up. The Paradigm's computer Walt training consists of 4 exercises and a final pattern examination. You will determine the pattern type with a left click and the program will track your scores. Walt Hot Streak is like a game. You keep classifying prints until you make an error and your high score is displayed. The final exam involves orienting prints and classifying them. The program scores each response and you will know your grade when you finish. I suggest that if you get less than 80%, you look for a career outside of fingerprint identification. Just kidding. Let's just go to a screenshot of one of the Walt exercises. First, you click the rotator dial to spin the pattern into proper orientation, and then click the whirl pattern. Just kidding. I know it's a tented arch. After you make your correct selection, the score will increase on the top left. Enough about Walt. Let's move on to the next session. After the Walt training, there is session 2, hand bone and friction ridge surface area exercises. This session consists of 4 different charting exercises, and that will result in 12 charts being saved to the Paradigm screenshot folder. Here are the first 3 charts that you will fill out. You will type in the proper bone structures in each text box and select the check button when they're all typed in. If the typeface turns green, the answer is correct. If it stays black, keep guessing. Trying. Okay, this is an example on how the paradigm works. On the left, you type in the correct bone names. For instance, distal phalange, medial phalange, proximal. After you type all of them in, you select check. It turns green. You hit the next button, and the program makes this chart. And I did this one, as you can see, on October 20th, 2016. This will be saved, this chart will be saved to your screenshot folder. Let's go from session 2 to session 3, where we will be doing a significant amount of fingerprint documentation. Again, you complete the exercises and it results in a chart saved to the screenshot folder. There are 3 sessions here: sketchpad, skeleton lines and ridge events, and ridge feature documentation. These are the 6 patterns that you will draw. You have the toolbar on the left. You click on the tool you want to use. The guy in the hat, yep, that's his toolbar. And then you're going to draw each of these as legibly as you possibly can. This is the sketchpad exercise. Here's an example of my beautiful fingerprint rendering. On the left, I use the axis and grid. Red is axis, gray is grid tool to help me draw the ridges in the correct position. You can laugh, but this exercise is not as easy as it looks. When you complete the session, the program will record how much time you spent. You really need to give yourself time to do this well. If you spend 10 minutes on this session, everybody will know. I'm just saying probably 10 minutes for each chart is a good plan. After the sketching exercise, you will draw skeleton lines and ridge events with the Paradigm toolbar. Red call out for an ending ridge and green call out for a bifurcation. The lines are traced with the orange line on the toolbar. Left click on the line tool, right click to erase. Go ahead and laugh about Zach's toolbar, but I think this looks pretty good. 5 bifurcations, 3 ending ridges, skeleton lines in yellow. This is as close to automated fingerprint identification as you can get at home. It's important to remember that in these charting exercises, you are documenting the same region of the finger, but it was recorded with a different media. In other words, this exemplar and this exemplar came from the exact same region. It's just a different type of recording media. Same way with these two. These are the same areas. So what you're doing is plotting the exact same region and trying to decipher what you're seeing there. The third exercise is seriously automated fingerprint identification. Well, as close as you're going to get. You're going to fully chart 20 complete fingerprint exemplars. You will mark ending ridges and bifurcations with the appropriate call-out. When you're completed, your chart will indicate each ridge event that you interpreted. The charting process is very similar to documentation performed during automated fingerprint identification encoding. Okay, what do you think of this? Red call-outs, green call-outs, bifurcations. Look down here. It's got my name, the number of call-outs, and the date that I did it. You should end up with a chart that looks something like this, but it'll have your name on it instead. If you're only coming up with 15 or 20 ridge events in these charts, go back and do it right. Okay, so let's move on to something even less exciting, ridge counting. So how do you make ridge counting interesting? I still don't know, but I do have 3 different exercises, all of which involve counting ridges. I think the highest ridge count is 26, so you really don't need to be a math major for this. Here's some completed charts. Chart 1 is delta to core. I drew a yellow line using the toolbar from the 2 coordinates and counted the ridges in between. Chart 2 is coordinates A to B through F. Again, I drew lines to the coordinates and counted the ridges in between them. Chart 3 is walk around. I went from A to B, B to C, C to D, etc., and I put in the numbers. Now I know you're all straining your eyes trying to see what these answers are. I hope you get eye strain, cheaters. Let's go to session 5. After ridge counting, the paradigm advances to the persistence of friction ridge skin, where examiners will chart fingerprints taken decades apart. The 4 charting assignments will provide self-explanatory evidence of how all ridge features remain the same in a compliant area. This is a completed Session 5 chart which demonstrates the compliant ridge structure of William Herschel's fingerprints taken in 1860 and 1888. 2 more sessions to preview. Hang in there, please. After friction ridge permanence, the paradigm advances to pore documentation assignments. This session involves the interpretation, classification, and documentation of 6 pore populations that can be observed on the surface of in situ friction ridge skin. Examiners will utilize the paradigm toolbar to document their interpretations. Here's one of the charts that I made. I'm looking at the ridge, and then I'm seeing the indentation and the return back to the ridge. This circular formation is the pore radius indentation. Same way down here. I have another one. But right here, I notice an even small one. On my chart, I marked the 3 circles using the symbol. Now, this is a self-explanatory exhibit of the pore radius indentation. In all seriousness, by the time you get all 7 of these exercises completed, you will hate me. But don't quit, because actual fingerprint comparison is coming in the next session. You're finally going to do what you thought you were going to be doing. Okay, it all comes down to this. In the final session, you have to bring all the skills, luck, and patience you can muster in the comparison of these 120 prints in 9 comparison sets. But let's look at how you're going to do this. First thing that comes up is this is the fingerprint that you're going to be looking at as the original known print. You have your toolbar here, and you can mark it up and designate ending ridges, for example, that you want to look for in the other print that's going to come along. So you establish that this print is identifiable and that you have actual ridge features that you're going to compare. The next step is you'll select the Compare button, and the program will reveal the print to the right. Now you're going to compare the ridge events on the left to the ones on the right. Hopefully, when you get to this phase here, you're marking the compliant ridge features that you see in the 2 prints. Now the process is, do I make an identification based on this, or do I make an exclusion? Obviously, you're going to be looking at more of the ridge features, and you can mark as many of them as you'd like. So now you can actually use the line tool and use the walk around ridge counting method and draw lines to the following ending ridges that you see here. By this point, you should be sure that this is an identification. You click the identification button and it will give you your response. All of your comparisons can be documented in this manner. You can do as much documentation as you like to include ending ridges, bifurcations, incipient ridges, ridge dots, and you can draw lines. And at any point, you can make a photograph of what you're sketching. And this is especially useful if you have two prints that are very difficult and you want to record what your observations were incrementally. Despite what you just saw here, I hope you still use the Examiner Instructional Supplement. Just keep it in another window, or if you have two screens, you know what to do. Good luck.